United Vision started with a group of partners. In 2018, I came along and took over as manager, and we have moved the place along. Joe's bought more land over the last 7 years. We've expanded the herd by about 200 cows. We've improved production, and we're always looking for the next opportunity, where the next dollar can be made, or where we can improve cow health or longevity, milk production, components, and cow health. For here in the barn, I mean, out on the field, Joe has different metrics when it comes to crops, and he does a phenomenal job of cropping. So for me to be able to manage cow health when he's making fantastic crops with good feed values, it makes it much easier. Matt came along, our area rep. I had worked with Matt before in the past when he was with different companies, and Matt came along and stopped and talked to me one day about the AHV products, and we started on the Metri bolus. And I tell you, I've been very impressed with the Metri and what it's done for us. Giving every fresh cow that Metri bolus, like I've told all of you when we've had conversations, in almost every normal gestation period, giving her that Metri, even when they've had twins, and in one situation triplets, they calved on their own, they cleaned on their own, and I have never seen that in the past. Usually twins, it was always RP. Now, if it's a normal gestation in that 270 to 285 days, those cows are, even with twins, are cleaning, and I am just blown away. So I know that if they're cleaning at that stage, they're gonna cycle better. And when it comes to breeding, I mean, our breeding right now, our percentage of herd pregnant, we've been running 61, 62 now for the last 4 weeks. And it's like, a lot of guys are happy to see 50. And we're up at 61, 62. We've been on the Metri, I think, over a year now. I mean, and it's blowing me away, what we're seeing. So, you know, if you can get those cows pregnant back and get that lactation started over again and get that peak milk, so it's created a lot more opportunity. You know, and with cows cleaning, they're lasting, you know, and, you know, so there too, like I said, longevity, it's adding to their longevity, and it's providing us with new opportunities too now, because with cows lasting longer, we've actually got dairy animals for sale, and we've sold 70 now in the last 6 months at a pretty premium price. So the Noisers, back last November when we sold the first few, when that first day when I sold the first 10, and I handed Joe that check, and I asked him, I said, Joe, how's that feel? He said, well, Steve, he said, it feels pretty good. He said, but we've always been the one cutting the check, never the ones collecting the check. And so yes, the products from AHV have got me really excited because of the results I'm seeing. The case of Triplets, cow 10-391, I mean, she's doing phenomenal. She never missed a beat. Second month test day, she was at 128 pounds. Second lactation animal, she's currently at 109. She starts back, she will get bred next week. She's up for her check next week, and she will get bred next week. You know, provided everything inside is normal, and I believe it is, because like I said, she cleaned, she's cycled on Cow Manager, so everything looks good so far. Yeah, that just blew my mind. Triplets, 75 to 80 pound calves, triplet heifer calves, and she was bred Angus. So at that time, our sale calves, our black calves, were selling for $1,015. So she started a lactation for us with a check for $3,045. I mean, if every cow would do that for me, the calves to sales checks for the calves would probably be bigger than the milk check. That was just mind blowing. So, I mean, I met with you down at Dairy Exchange, and we talked about different products, and you talked about that coming along, and Matt and Dave had talked to me about that product, and back on May 15th, I decided to go gun-ho, and we pulled the plug, and we've been drying up cows. Now this is our 5th week. We dried up this morning, so this is our 5th week. And every morning when I walk in the barn, I usually do a walkthrough in the morning when I get here. I check the nursery to see how many cows have calved. I do my computer entries. But on Friday, we usually dry up on Thursday, so on Friday morning when I do my walkthrough and I walk past the dry pen, in the past, after dry off, there were always cows screaming. I mean, just screaming. You could tell the udders were full. They were uncomfortable. They were up walking around. They were at the corner of the bunk, looking down the breezeway and wanting to go to the parlor. Since May 15th, I barely had a, what do you want to say, a murmur. The cow, I hear a and I'm like, okay. I see great. We usually paint the tail heads green for dry off, and I can see there's fresh green paint on her. I'm like, well, okay. And then Dr. Stephanie cautioned me that first week too. She said, you better make sure that on Friday morning you check those cows, not that they're leaking all over. So I think we dried up 21 cows that day, and I walked through the pen that day. And I'm walking around, and one cow was walking ahead of me. She had a little bit of a drip, and I thought, okay, that ain't bad. One cow laying in a stall had a little puddle about that big under her, and I thought, okay, that's all you got? I'm not real concerned. The following morning I walked in, the barn was quiet. I just couldn't believe it. And I've seen the same results for the last 4 weeks. It's just blowing my mind how quickly these cows are relaxed. It's obvious that that pressure isn't there, that the StopLac is doing what we need it to do. And what's getting me even more excited is the results I'm hearing from other farms about what they're seeing when these cows are calving back in. So I'm really looking forward to what's going to happen here in about a month when those cows start calving back in. So, I mean, if we can shrink the udder faster and gives that udder more time to regenerate, those cows are going to take off, I hope, a lot faster and perform a little better. So I'm excited to see the AHV products overall being natural. I mean, that's what do you want to say, the customer wants. They want us to get away from antibiotics, and with these products being natural, I'm all for that. I've always been looking for those opportunities over the last 60 years in the industry. So the AHV's got me really excited. So, well, the biggest thing is that it's natural. I mean, when you dry off those cows, and if you put an antibiotic in her and then she aborts, well, you're stuck with her for a month. With the AHV, I did have one abort the second week. I'm not stuck with her. Now, fortunately, she's a really good cow, and she has come back into milk for me. When she aborted twins. So there was something abnormal going on there. But the opportunity or the scenario where a cow aborts and I don't want to hang on to her, I'm not stuck with her. She can go out the door. You know, in the past, okay, then they don't clean, then they're sick from metritis, and then you're sticking some other drugs or something into her, and so it's just, this makes more sense to me. I mean, natural, and if it makes that window smaller so that I'm not stuck with her if I don't want to be. So that's what I like about the AHV products, that they're all natural. You know, like I said, that's what the people around the globe want too. They want us to get away from the antibiotics and these residues in the cows. So if we can get away from them, I'm all for that. I always have been. The Aspi, really, we had a situation here back in February. One of my night shift guys, our fresh cow pens get scraped with a skid loader. And he wasn't paying attention. He scraped the fresh cow pen, and he left the door open at the west end of the barn, and he went out the west end of the barn with the skid loader. And instead of parking at the door and closing the door, he went and parked the skid steer. And one of my cows that had recently had mastitis was moved into the fresh pen because there wasn't an open space available in the barn for her. She's always got to be first. So she was into the parlor and out of the parlor, and she saw the opportunity. The door was open. She made it out the door, and Abondio never even realized she had left the barn. That night, it happened to snow a little bit. And she got out. Then he closed the door. So she was out. She ran along the manure pit, and she ended up dropping into the spillway and got stuck. Fortunately, because of the railing around the spillway, when she slipped in there, the railing caught her, managed to catch her by her hips. But she laid there for about 8-9 hours. And her left side was all swelled up. She was pregnant. So now what do I do? All this inflammation. And we got her out of there. We had to cut the pipe. We lifted her up out of there, brought her back to the barn, and she was shaking like a leaf. It was the coldest night in February, and she was just, she was very cold. She'd been there 7-8 hours or more. And fortunately, that morning when the trucker came in, he drives and he sees foot tracks in the snow. So as he's driving past the spillway, he notices her hung up in there. So he comes running to the barn, and we all went out there, and we got her out of there, put her in the barn. And I'm thinking, okay, now what do I do for her? All this inflammation. We gave her 2 ease boluses. And I told the guys, leave her in the special needs pen, a pack pen where she could be comfortable. And we left her in there for a day. By the next day, the inflammation had really subsided. And I was there too. I was blown away by what I'd seen. I mean, for a pregnant cow, there's nothing I can give her. I mean, a lot of the drugs that they have out there will cause them to abort when they're pregnant. And I thought, well, okay, this ease is all natural. Yeah, we gave her 2. She goes dry next week. She's still here. She's still ticking. Yeah. So that too just blows me away. How those products work. And that's the biggest place I've used these boluses. Cows with inflammation, especially pregnant cows. That is really helping. Makes a big difference. Inflammation in the legs, or this cow was the whole side of her face and into her shoulder, the front leg. Like I said, she had laid there all night, struggling to get out of there. It's a good thing the rail caught her, because otherwise she'd ended up in the pit and we wouldn't even have known where she went. But yeah, another AHV product that has blown my mind. I've already been recommending people to use it, and I've talked to our vets extensively about what I'm doing and what I'm seeing. I mean, and they're asking questions. I mean, after I announce that I'm using something or I've used it, and they ask me, how's it going? How's that product working? And I'm telling them. I've told them, like I said, Dr. Stephanie told me to walk the cows when I started using the StopLac, and they've asked me, how is it going? How is it, they've asked me week after week, how is it going? Are you still seeing those kind of results? And I'm telling them, yeah, I am. I said, I'm telling them, I'm blown away by what I'm seeing. And I'm sharing with them the new things I'm hearing about these products. So yeah, it's piquing their interest too. So yeah, I talked to a couple other farmers about it too already. I'd like to see, antibiotics eliminated. I really would. For the safety. I have an allergic reaction to penicillin products. I mean, my grandfather came very close to, dying in the hospital, because back in the 50s, if my grandma, would have been a few seconds later, they would have gave him penicillin and he would have died. Yeah, because he too had allergic reactions to penicillin products. Yeah, it came within seconds that she showed up, and she said, no, you can't give that to him. So yes, I'm all for eliminating antibiotics from the industry. My son too has had a lot of allergies when he was a baby. So yeah, I'm all for getting rid of all these chemicals and antibiotics and stuff out of our food supply. I always encourage our employees too. We're producing a food product. We want to do it as cleanly and safely as possible. You know, we're feeding the world.